here we can see basically the ethnography section of the museum. Come in. You can see this is, now why is it important to do this? It was important for us to set an ethnography exhibit of tools and other instruments that people used, like the harvesting tools here, basically the sickles that they use, or this one that they used for throwing the seeds in the ground. Our ancestors, who are Canaanites, were the first to invent agriculture in the world. This happened about 12,000 years ago. And these tools that they used continued to be used. In fact, my grandfather used these same instruments and tools. And here we talk about tangible cultural heritage. Tangible cultural heritage, like these sieves that are used for different purposes, different size sieves. I remember actually even as a child drinking from these kinds of water jugs, sherbet maya, etc. So we have these instruments that go back. Some of them are old, some of them are newer, but the history of agriculture, which is here in the Fertile Crescent, we also have a huge collection of photographs. You can see only a sample of them up there, how they used to, for example, harvest the wheat, separate the seeds from the chaff. This goes back to thousands of years. Here's more agricultural instruments and more tools that our ancestors used. These boxes, if you want, like storing cupboards, were made from mud and straw. Our ancestors, when they baked mud and straw, they made many things. You can see this is made from mud and straw, or mud alone even, that they bake it to produce these instruments that are useful for them. Even these beehives are made from mud and straw. That's how our ancestors used to produce their honey. And of course from wood. From wood they made instruments like these saddles, another material for the horses. In later years they used metals. For example, this metal structure with the wood to produce what's called the loh dras, which is like a thrashing board that you run pulled with the donkey or the mule over the harvested wheat. After it's dried, can crush it to produce the seeds from the and that's here. Now we have many other interesting items in this ethnography exhibit. For example, we have some books, old books, including old books. We have even the souvenirs that they used to sell to the tourists of pressed plants. Unfortunately, this was a bad habit to press these plants and sell them to tourists, because that reduced the number of wild plants. When we talk about heritage, we talk about tangible and intangible cultural heritage. Intangible cultural heritage include things like proverbs. There are some books of proverbs, including the one of my grandfather, Isa Atallah, produced this book. And once this is produced, it really collects all the literature, all the data about these proverbs and songs, even others that relate to our heritage. Much of it is, of course, related to agriculture and so forth. Now, some of our heritage, of course, sad heritage. For example, these are keys that are taken from homes when the refugees left their homes, anticipating to go back to their homes and villages after they were ethnically cleansed in 1948. Then they have these keys, and of course they were never allowed to return to their homes and lands because Israel wants to be a Jewish state and doesn't want any native people to remain in this Jewish state. Now this is interesting. When I was in the US, somebody donated to me National Geographic magazines going back, and I found 1909 National Geographic with very nice pictures of Palestine. This is 1926 National Geographic with the first color pictures from Palestine with National Geographic quality, basically. You can see, for example, two women here with the traditional clothes, one from Al-Bira, one from Ramallah, one Muslim, one Christian. And then here's 1947 National Geographic. So this is a heritage that we should be very proud of as native people, the native people of this country. See, this is the connectivity to nature and the flowers, similar to what you have seen earlier, but see how the landscape looks, how the people dressed in those days. This is again 1926 Palestine. You see how beautiful it was. And it still is, despite all the development, despite all the political turmoil. This is what Palestine is about. Many people don't dress in traditional clothes like these, for example. You can see the traditional clothes of the Palestinian woman. Each village has its own pattern, has its own symbolism that they used on these. Again, our connectivity with nature goes back to these, to these times, and we need to be very proud of this heritage, and we need to revive it and